Looks like Hollywood is done. The news that just came out this week has sent shockwaves through the left-dominated industry, with Donald Trump naming Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone, and Jon Voight as his ambassadors to Hollywood. Well, here's what Trump wrote on Truth Social this week, and I quote, "It is my honor to announce Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone to be special ambassadors to a great but very troubled place, Hollywood, California. They will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the last 4 years, to foreign countries, back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. These three very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I will get done what they suggest. It will again be like the United States of America itself, the golden age of Hollywood." Man, I miss that. Can you imagine hearing this merely 4 years ago when mainstream Hollywood sway seemed unbreakable? All three of these stars are people that have been left out in the cold by inner circles of Hollywood in the past few years, though they're doing great, with Mel Gibson basically being blacklisted by all major production houses, so he had to create his own stuff, and I can only imagine the sweet comeback story it must feel like to now become the president's right-hand man in Hollywood. Even former Superman actor Dean Cain knew that Hollywood was about to face a long overdue accountability under people like Mel, John, and Sylvester, and he's certainly here to watch it unfold.
But look, Charlie, look, you got Mel Gibson, Jon Voight, Sylvester Stallone, all huge Hollywood legends, all folks who have survived numerous cancellation attempts, and shockingly all a little bit conservative. It's a huge departure from the recent years of, the Obamas on the board of directors for Netflix and things like that. But Andrew Breitbart once famously said, politics is downstream from culture. And he's right, because liberals have been in control of Hollywood for a long, long time. And the studios also controlled by liberals. So Disney, changing every known beloved character into some woke version of the original. So obviously what we see on TV and on the screens and so on and so forth can have a huge impact on how we feel about certain issues, situations. And you look at the successful films lately, Top Gun Maverick, Sound of Freedom, the #1 late night television show, Gutfeld, Yep. So people have been voting with their pocketbooks. It's wonderful. I love to see these guys in there. Things are changing. And it's wonderful to see these guys sort of, celebrated as opposed to canceled.
I love that guy. By the way, this is a cultural shift in Hollywood that we'll be covering extensively. So be sure to hit the notification bell to be part of the circle and check out our other channel, Hollywood Exposed. Now, what's really interesting is that before we've even seen what John, Mel, and Sylvester are going to do with this new industrial influence, we've seen Hollywood elites and its former executives like Kate Whitmore come out and panic over it, saying, quote, "As a former Hollywood exec, this is effing laughable. He is going to try and destroy everything we love. Resist, fight back, volunteer, donate, call your reps. It is going to take all of us, and we need to reach the non-voters and convince them to fight alongside." Not just that, even Trevor Noah's The Daily Show thought it would be a good idea to dig up decades-old dirt on Mel Gibson and try to attach those accusations of anti-Semitism onto Donald Trump. Writing on Blue Sky, the Post read, and I quote, "Trump, okay, day one, no bad ideas. What are your ideas to ... Mel Gibson, no more Semitic people." And please, YouTube, that is just a quote. We are not saying that we support that. We absolutely do not. But it is not going to work that easily anymore, especially with a population that is much smarter and more cynical about the industry as it was decades ago. Donald Trump spoke about how he developed a personal admiration for Mel Gibson after watching Braveheart for the first time.
I'll tell you, I saw Braveheart. I think Mel Gibson is a very good guy. I've met him a number of times, good guy. But out there, that was super Mel Gibson in his prime.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I was on a plane, and there was absolutely nothing to do. It was one of these planes that you couldn't make calls, you couldn't do, and they had tapes.
That's all planes for us.
And they showed me they showed me, "Sir, we have 20 tapes." And I looked at the tapes, and they were all and this was like 20 years after it was made. This was probably 6 years ago. I never saw Braveheart.
Okay.
And they showed me a tape. I said, all right, let's put that one on. And within about 4 minutes, I said, this may be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Incredible.
But for Mel Gibson, words like this are rare indeed from his own colleagues in the industry, but I think we know where that animosity is coming from. It's not just the fact that Mel Gibson has been putting the media back in its place even before Donald Trump, or that he's leveled some really serious allegations against the industry for alleged deviant and predatory behavior against children. It's that he's now climbing back up from the Hollywood blacklist to having real power to change things in the industry from the inside out. And some wounds are still fresh for Mel Gibson, especially given the hostility and backlash from his industry friends that he alleges after announcing the sequel for Passion of the Christ coming out next year. In fact, he spoke about it on Joe Rogan just this month.
There's resistance, first of all, from secular Hollywood, where for whatever reason, Christianity is the one religion that you're allowed to disparage.
Yeah.
Christianity is the one religion where people, all these progressive, open-minded, leftist people, they'll embrace all these different religions until it comes to Christianity. And for whatever reason, that represents like white male, whatever it represents, colonialism, whatever it represents, it's negative.
Yeah, sure. It's gotten a bad rap. And people do feel free to beat up on it. Mm-hmm. Even I do when I see it's like, when it's not fair or when I think it's off.
Whether you like him or not, it is impossible to argue that people like Mel Gibson, Jon Voight, and Sylvester Stallone are almost about to become a wrecking ball for an industry that has almost started to rot from the inside creatively, professionally, morally, and now financially. That's what we've seen with the industry's incessant woke remakes of old classics, its curious animosity to films like Sound of Freedom or Passion of the Christ, as well as the kind of handle it wants on societal values as a cultural influence. All of that is being put to a halt, and then in reverse, even Sylvester Stallone right now is pivoting to a more creative story-driven plotline that has a message to send, and much like Sound of Freedom, he's co-written a new film that tackles a topic of human trafficking called A Working Man, and if he faces the kind of resistance that Sound of Freedom did, he's going to know where that opposition is coming from and why. For Sylvester, he's never really hidden his support of Donald Trump, but this election cycle has put him firmly in that camp, and it's going to have a ripple across all of Hollywood.
I'm very, very proud to be here. I didn't expect this, but I'll just keep it short and sweet, because there's no such a thing as a speech too short. When I did Rocky, if you remember, the first image was a picture of Jesus, and it says Resurrection AC Club. I found a church that had been converted to a boxing ring. So the image pans down from Jesus onto Rocky being hit. And at that moment, he was a chosen person, and that's how I began the journey. Something was going to happen. This man was going to go through a metamorphosis and change lives, just like President Trump. We are in the presence of a really mythical character. I love mythology. And this individual does not exist on this planet. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off, so I'm in awe. And I'll just say this, and I mean it. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations!
And that's just the beginning. If Trump really is trying to return Hollywood to its golden age from the 20s and 30s, that means we might see a return to a more traditional essence in the industry with themes of patriotism, traditional gender roles, faith, and family. If that is Trump's goal, perhaps people like Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, and Jon Voight are only a few people in the industry strong enough to fight the industry establishment to make that happen. But let me know in the comments how you see the next 4 years of Hollywood, because we may be living through a pivotal time in Hollywood and in the history of the industry.